welcome to Rising. We have a great show for you today. I'm Amber Duke, joined at the desk today by Niall Stanage. Niall, good morning.
Good to see you, Amber. A lot of news to get through, but great to be with you here.
Absolutely. Kick us off.
So, Vice President Harris kicked off the final stretch of her campaign with a speech at the Ellipse last night to a crowd of over 70,000 people. It's the same place where former President Trump spoke on January the 6th. The speech came as the two candidates remain virtually deadlocked, and as 50 million votes have already been cast. Harris painted a sharp contrast between her and Trump's messaging. Let's watch.
And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within.
Harris also tried to do damage control on her immigration policies. Let's watch.
Politicians have got to stop treating immigration as an issue to scare up votes in an election. And instead treat it as the serious challenge that it is that we must finally come together to solve. I will work with Democrats and Republicans to sign into law the border security bill that Donald Trump killed. When I was Attorney General of a border state, I saw the chaos and violence caused by transnational criminal organizations that I took on. And when I am president, we will quickly remove those who arrive here unlawfully.
Harris also contrasted how her day one agenda would look compared to Trump's.
On day one, if elected, Donald Trump would walk into that office with an enemies list. When elected, I will walk in with a to-do list full of priorities of what I will get done for the American people. And I will work with everyone, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to help Americans who are working hard and still struggling to get ahead. I have been honored to serve as Joe Biden's vice president. But I will bring my own experiences and ideas to the Oval Office. My presidency will be different.
You can see in that clip, of course, Harris trying to distance herself from President Biden, something she's done increasingly in the final weeks of this election. And she may have to do more of that. Here's what Joe Biden said last night during her rally.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Harris reacted to Biden's garbage comment this morning. Let's take a look.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for. You heard my speech last night and continuously throughout my career. I believe that the work that I do is about representing all the people, whether they support me or not. And as President of the United States, I will be a president for all Americans, whether you vote for me or not.
Former President Trump reacted to Biden's comments on X, writing, quote, "On top of everything, Joe Biden calls our supporters garbage. You can't lead America if you don't love the American people." President Biden tried to explain himself last night, writing, quote, "Earlier today, I referred to the hateful rhetoric about Puerto Rico spewed by Trump's supporter at his Madison Square Garden rally as garbage, which is the only word I can think of to describe it. His demonization of Latinos is unconscionable, and that's all I meant to say." So Kamala's big night a little bit caught off guard and derailed by this Biden comment. The White House is trying to say that there was meant to be an apostrophe there, that Biden was talking only about Tony Hinchcliffe, but the clip doesn't do him any favors. The video shows this pause between supporters and his next line, and even the transcript shows that he was sort of separating out those two statements. And I think the White House is going to have a hard time convincing people that Biden didn't say what it sounded like he said.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few points here. I think, first of all, if you were Kamala Harris or her campaign, you would be furious about this, really. This is not the first time that Biden has said something that has been a distraction or a problem for her. This comes as she's trying to kick off the last 7 days with a speech at the Ellipse that I thought was actually pretty good, and she made a good case for herself, regardless of whether you agree with her or not. It was an effective moment. Now, we can come back to that point. What Biden said, initially was, I was reading the transcript of it, and I thought, oh, this isn't pretty good. And then there was a fuller transcript and a White House pushback. And it was a while, I was working for the Hill during all this, so it was a while before I saw the video of what he had said. The video honestly does seem like he's calling supporters garbage. There's, as you say, the pause afterwards, the syntax is not clear. Sometimes Biden's capacity to mangle his syntax both A, gets him in trouble, but also in an odd sort of way allows leeway for other interpretations. So like the White House is saying what it's saying, it's inserting this magic apostrophe that it thinks is going to solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. I didn't think some members of the media did themselves any favours by, in my opinion, rallying too fast or too unequivocally to the White House's defence and saying, oh, the initial remark was misinterpreted. It's not clear to me that it was misinterpreted. I think the balance of probabilities is, he said, that the supporters were garbage.
Yeah, and you can't take the White House's word on this, unfortunately, because they have a history of editing transcripts in Joe Biden's favor. According to Reagan Reese, the White House correspondent at the Daily Caller, she did an analysis of all of the transcripts that the White House put out between January and April of 2024 and found 148 edits. Obviously, a transcript is supposed to be what was said, not what the White House wished Biden would have said. And one of the transcript edits that I noticed was back when Biden appeared at the NAACP dinner, where he said that he was vice president during the pandemic. The remarks were later edited to recession in brackets, which didn't explain why he was talking about spending a lot of time with Mayor Mike Duggan, who wasn't in office until 2014, and really just raised more questions than answers. So what they would need to do in this case is provide some kind of evidence that the apostrophe was in there for the teleprompter remarks, with some sort of timestamp on the document that shows that that's what Biden was supposed to read. Alex Thompson from Axios, to that effect, reached out to the White House. They originally asked him to go off the record to talk about it, which he declined to do. And they later released a statement saying that that staff did speak to Biden about what he meant to say to inform the transcript, which again is not what a transcript is supposed to be.
Sure. Look, I think we could talk about this for 20 minutes and we don't have
Totally.
20 minutes to do so. There are a couple of things here. Firstly, Biden has got Harris into difficulty several times with this. There was the thing about lock him up just last week, I think, and it was like lock him up politically, which wasn't terribly persuasive. Then where I have more sympathy for the Democratic defense is the idea that Donald Trump is overly concerned about the delicate sensibilities of voters seems just implausible to me, given the things that he says. And sometimes when I think there are these outrages, I wonder, are people really outraged about what Biden said? Or are they doing a little gleeful dance about the fact that he has made this error that moves things on from the Madison Square Garden rally, that plays into this idea that Democrats are sort of sneering elitists, and there is a political advantage to Republicans in appearing outraged here. And I think that's part of the picture too.
That's true, but that being said, Trump supporters, if you talk to them, are still quite incensed by that basket of deplorables remark from Hillary Clinton. And then it doesn't help Kamala that Vinod Khosla, one of her biggest donors, doubled down on the remarks even after Biden's reinterpretation, saying garbage is an understatement for MAGA extremists. So she's really getting it from all sides right now, which obviously is a huge distraction from this fine speech on the Ellipse. I wasn't particularly moved by it, but I'm not her target audience, I assume. But she got through it. She looked nice. It was a good backdrop. I didn't have any specific issues with it. I thought some of her comments about January 6th were not quite accurate, but that would be a debate for a different show.
Yeah, and it'd be a longer debate. I thought it was effective. I thought she weaved a number of different things through it. One thing that I think we'll both be probably watching to see how the rest of today and the reaction goes to those remarks of hers that we just played just a few moments ago, where she did try to distance herself quite definitively from what Biden had said, and she doesn't agree with deriding people for who they vote for. That could ultimately help her if it expands the distance between her and Biden. That's something she has a difficulty with. Maybe there's a silver lining for her in that respect, but not good that he said what he did.
Yeah, maybe so. And I wish she would do that on policy issues too, and that would really drive the point home. We're going to move on. We have a lot to cover today on Rising, so please stick around. We'll be back with more after this.